imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is a certain fixed quantity, but an imaginative intelligence is boundless. We don't teach artistic activities separate to our academic curriculum. They're merged so that no matter what it is the kids are studying, it is imbued with the creative self-expression that is soaring on the wings of imagination.
Waldorf education itself was started as a social mission after World War I, and its goal was to create young people that wouldn't go to war, so that a war like that would never happen again. That purpose always stays true to how do we educate young people to come into the world with idealism, to want to help.
I think the mission of helping to create human beings who are free thinkers, who are free to do what they want to do because they have gained so many skills, that remains the same. But we are more open now, thankfully, to the world around, to what the world is talking about.
What I've appreciated about my time here is this school's willingness to evolve and be responsive to what's happening in our culture, in our time, and in our place. It's got a wonderful balance, I think, between commitment to the core principles, the shared core ideals, and being progressive, being what I call citizens of our time. Make a wish.
What's your spirit animal? Spirit animal!
Waldorf education to me is so meaningful because it is a way to serve your social mission. What I think our task is what are the modern crises that we're preparing children to face. That changes. That changed from 100 years ago. Are we actually addressing what these students today need? Who are the students that are coming to us now? What are the issues that they are bringing, and who are they? And the purpose has always been about Waldorf education to be answering that question. That's where our revisioning process started, is what is happening in the world today, and are we still answering it in the best way possible? Are we still providing young people with tools and guidance that allows them to meet that in the most positive way? And sometimes schools in particular, and Waldorf schools too, become stagnant and institutionalized and continue to do the same thing over and over without addressing what's changed in the outer world.
We have to change. We have to adapt that protecting children from certain conversations, from certain topics, is not serving them in order to prepare them for some of the qualities that are alive in the modern age. We want them to go into the workforce prepared and open to talk about topics that relate to equity and to inclusion. If we bring the children along in the right way, then we're raising children to be ready to help lead the way into positive change.
Into the world, wherein there shines the sun, wherein there gleam the stars, wherein there lie the stones. The plants they live and grow, the beasts they feel and live, and humankind His Spirit gives, a dwelling in their soul.
We are in rapidly shifting sands right now. Things are volatile in our world. Things are a bit unpredictable. And so our task as Waldorf educators really is to be cultivating capacities in young people to adapt, to have a certain kind of plasticity in their thinking, in their feeling, so that they can be responsive. That's what this school is very awake to, is continuing to educate effectively so that our young people can step into the world with academic capacities that aren't fixed. We cultivate compassion, empathy, as well as healthy boundaries for themselves, and a sense of volition, a sense of can-do.
Some schools are really focused on knowledge and academics, and that the students are gathering knowledge. And some are on doing, but we are trying to get that third space between those two polarities of how do the children gather knowledge and how do they learn to put it into action and to do meaningful work in the world. So sometimes that's building something, but sometimes that's becoming an activist. And how do I take my work into the world and actually bring it to the world for the better of the world? That's a grand social mission. That's always driving a bit of what we're doing. And the reason Waldorf is such a perfect venue for that is that for 100 years, Waldorf has given us these directions on how we teach, on how the teacher stays with the class, so that there's this relationship where the child is really known. We know now, research shows that actually that feeling of belonging and connection is the most powerful thing to overcome any kind of adversity in your life. So it actually heals from trauma. And many of the things we do in this school are repairing from trauma and things that people are experiencing. So it's the best venue for what our social mission is. The purpose of Marin Waldorf School is to create an environment for children to learn in that is a healing place, in contrast to the rising levels of depression, anxiety, and stress that children are under. And the way that we do that is building community with relationships.
Everyone come up here and clap for the band.
It's meant to be a healing education, and last year and this year we've really had a chance to carry that to fruition. So many other schools were closed, children were learning at home in front of computers. We were here in this rich environment working with very dedicated teachers in a new world.
Once we decided to really be outside and live in the outside elements of the school, it really seemed to open things up. There's something about that human connection, especially in a school, that you have to be connected and work with the person and look into their eyes. That makes it work.
We need to be in person with one another for just our own emotional well-being, to feel connected. I think the fact that we understood that there was nothing at all more important than allowing a space for students to sit next to one another, play with each other at recess, learn in community. the fact that we knew that that was so important, that we would make it happen no matter what, I think speaks volumes to what's really at the forefront of everything that we do here, and that is the well-being of the students.
Sometimes you think when you're delivering a curriculum that was designed 100 years ago now, because we've just had the 100th anniversary of Waldorf education, that it's not flexible. But that's what we've learned. We learned how we can change on a dime, that nothing is actually as fixed as you imagine it to be, and that you have to be ready. You have to be ready, you have to be willing, you have to be open, because ultimately, why we're here is for the children.
All voices, ready, steady, and
Praise God for the sun,
who shines with splendid glow. He brings the golden day to us. Thy glory does he show.
I think parents today are looking for something deeper in education for their children, and they're really looking for a connection. They're looking for a connection between the teacher and the child. They're looking for a connection with other parents. They're looking for connections between their child and other children in the class. This is a place where people feel that they belong. This is their place, this is their school. Marin Waldorf is the people who are here. They say it takes a village to raise a child. This is a village of teachers and a village of staff and admin and parents and children, so it really is that kind of community. A lot of families who have older children and younger children, they all know each other. It really is like a family. It's a second home for a lot of people here.
Waldorf education is unique in its own way that the teachers and the faculty are committed to self-development as well. That's part of their training, and that's part of being a teacher, is that you are also on that path. You're on a path of learning and growing and changing with the students. That's part of being a teacher that moves with its class.
And that's something that is a requirement of a Waldorf teacher, to love learning, to imbue that love of learning onto your students. So they have this model of a human being before them who is constantly striving to learn what they need to in order to present it in a way that is innovative, that is available to the children.
Interestingly, the SAT scores of Waldorf high school students are substantially above the national average.
It's beyond just going to college and getting good grades. It's being a community member, it's being a contributor to the world.
That's what I have confidence in with Waldorf graduates, is that they can step in and have a living thinking that's not rigid, and they can survey the landscape of where they're working and what the goals are, and they can adapt and be a team player. University professors see it all the time as well. They frequently comment on, I notice the Waldorf High School graduates in my courses, because of their level of engagement, they're the ones asking the most probing questions, the challenging of things.
Oh, good. Okay, so I'm not going to grade those. I'm only grading the essays, so that's okay. Put it where it belongs, and take out your written work for this so I can check it off.
Yes, I do think that Facebook made the right decision in halting the social media for 13 and younger. If Instagram can't even protect their own users, then I think that social media should only allow people 18 and older to use it. There should be filters that Facebook puts on depending on their age and likings.
So this was a similar theme, right? About we understand the impact on people who are older and more developed, and they have some negative unintended consequences. So we're skeptical about the consequences on more vulnerable users.
Yes.
Is that a good summary? So that's a theme. Did you hear?
We take a slightly different approach to creating change agents, or hopefully activists, for whatever cause they feel compelled. And we do that by starting very young and developing a love and a relationship to things. So our hope is that they love the earth, they love the trees, they love the animals, and we take them out and we care for it and we grow. Then as they get older, they start to learn, you know, some of the trees are sick, and you know what? Human beings have helped to make the trees sick. And they're moved by that, and they're moved to do something about it. And they feel that they have the power within themselves to actually make a change and do something different.
I definitely think that that's one of the things that we could see is happening or happens at our Waldorf schools, that we are making future change makers. I think in a way we don't even have to know that we're doing that. It doesn't have to be a conscious thing that we're trying to make change makers. I think that's just the byproduct of what we're doing and how we teach. When we were learning about botany, I made it a point to tuck in that a forest community or any ecological system thrives when there's diversity. Biodiversity is known to help a community thrive. Well, how does that relate to our communities as human beings? If I know where I fit in, then how do I fit in a way that is positive? And how can I make the most of this time on Earth and make positive change?
And to feel that they have abilities and skills to do something. I mean, that's a big part of Waldorf education as well, is action and to do things. Again, it's combined with knowledge, but our students from a very young age and all the way up use their hands. They all play instruments, they all sing, they all knit, they all do woodwork, they all climb trees, they all make soup, they all sweep. They build sets for their plays. They sew costumes for their plays. The result of that kind of activity is an empowerment of what I can do with my own two hands, not just what I can think about. And I think that creates change agents. Education itself is an inherently hopeful action. We're doing it out of hope for the future.
I've often said how you get to the future is you put one foot in front of the other and you have your eyes open. And that's how we're going to get to the next 50 years. We have already proved to ourselves and the community that we are flexible, we are conscious human beings, we are open to what is going on in the world, we are committed to presenting things to our students in an age-appropriate, developmental way so that they can take in what they need and continue growing with a positivity in mind, with a gratitude for all that they've been given, and with a desire to go out into the world and make it a better